Mm. Okay, we're alive. Hello, everybody. Hello, internet land. It is your girl, Michelle Kanan, also known as the Satisfied Wife. And I am here today. I'm so excited to be here today with an amazing alumni from my legendary Goddess Wife School, Alyssa Shafar. We are here talking about, well, one of my favorite topics, which is feminine communication and how to really transform your relationship with the man or the men in your life. And I really am excited to talk to Alyssa because, well, first of all, it's been like a minute, right? We were just talking about how long it's been since we've connected. And I know that she has a lot of juicy updates to share with us. But also, Alyssa had a really amazing experience because she came into the program with certain circumstances and things that she wanted to deal with. And so much beautiful stuff has unfolded for her since then. So I see people are popping on. If you're here live, say hello. If you're friends with Goddess Alyssa, let her know that you're here. And Alyssa, I was just asking you, like, what's been going on and talk to me, like, you were in Goddess Wife School. We wouldn't call you a typical woman that would think to join Goddess Wife School. What brought you to the program and what did you work on and what were some of the changes and amazing things that you saw happen for yourself?
Oh, it was such a great experience. And it was interesting because there was somebody, I can't remember her name. I think it's Alyssa. It might be the same name, but Canali. Anyways, we crossed each other's paths and she had shared that she was in the program and something about the energy of the program spoke to me. But what was interesting was that I was a single mom. I wasn't in a relationship. So Goddess Wife School felt so strange to be called to, but there was something about your energy and the space in the container, and then going back and forth with you in Messenger and just explaining to you that I'm called, but I don't understand why, because I'm in this place. And you just kind of walked me through how it could help me in that space. And it was so incredible because I followed that intuitive nudge to take it. And the dynamic in my divorce and co-parenting relationship has just morphed into the most incredible thing, using some of the tools and practices, as well as stepping back into a romantic relationship that I'd been in with a wonderful man. But because I was tripping up in my relationship and my co-parenting situation, I had ended that relationship. So healing a lot of the stuff with my ex opened the space and gave me the communication skills. And I also really tapped into that sexual energy that I always had and sort of suppressed and denied and felt was taboo. And I all of a sudden started to embrace it and harness it and channel it in my relationship and in my business. And it really made a huge difference. So Goddess Wife School was just beautiful.
Oh my God. Beautiful. I feel like, okay, that's the end of the interview. Like, that was everything. That's amazing. So, like, to summarize, because I know that there's a lot of people popping on and a lot of people that are saying hi. When you started the program, you were involved in, or I remember that when we were talking, like, you really wanted to try to figure out how to have a different kind of relationship with your ex and to learn how to co-parent better. And those aren't like obvious things that people would think to join like Goddess Wife School for. And to develop. So what were some of the things that like you learned? How did the program help you to evolve that relationship and really like clear the energy there?
Such a good question, because you're right. Most people would think, why would I think Goddess Wife when I'm an ex-wife to him? But I knew that we were still traveling. My kids are they're teenagers. My son turned 13 today and my daughter's 14. And I knew that we have quite a while left to be in a partnership, and I wanted it to be healthy and balanced for our kids first and foremost, but also for us because we're in the dynamic. And so I really wanted it to be enjoyable and pleasant, especially for our partners, because when there's issues there, it bleeds into the relationship, and I didn't want that anymore. So one of the biggest things that I learned in Goddess Wife School was how to accept my ex for who he was without having the expectations of what I wanted him to be like. I was communicating in a way that I communicated, not allowing or holding space for the way that he communicates and shows up. I was trying to control how he was with the kids and who his partners were, what I thought it should look like. And so I really learned how to allow him to show up as himself in that. And it's just taken so much pressure off of that whole co-parenting dynamic. And then it's freed up the space for my now partner and I to move forward without any entanglements from the past coming forward. And I'm able to be both feet in and have those honest conversations without there being this shadow cloud of this dark, stirring ex relationship. It's been really, really beautiful. So
it's so relevant what you're saying, whether, you know, people have a past marriage or not. Like, we all have old trauma or old conditioning or
Yes.
like lessons that we learned or experiences, like baggage, right? That we
Yep.
take from relationship to relationship, and we don't realize how unconsciously it's infiltrating like the reality that we're trying to create with a whole new partner. And then we like are like, why do we have the same patterns, or why does this stuff keep
Yes.
happening to us, not realizing like, oh wait, I'm bringing that stuff in. So it's such a good point that you're making, whether you have like an official ex or like
Yeah.
many exes there, how
Even dad stuff, right? Like
right.
daddy issues, so to speak. Childhood wounding has surfaced in my relationship. So that was a huge component, being able to heal the space for men in my life, which started with my ex-husband because I basically married my father. I was that cliche. And so there was so much wounding that had to heal for me to be able to be fully healthy and aligned and in love and present in the relationship and receive the love, to be able to see myself through my partner's eyes. I was never able to do before because it felt like we were in competition, and it was really messy. And so cleaning that up and holding men in a different regard, it's just been so incredible. And you're right, it does. It trickles from childhood to previous relationships to, the opposite sex as friends. It's so incredible how healing that um, can bring so much happiness in a relationship and so much peace and so much presence. And to me, that's just been such a gift from Goddess Wife School, is how to be fully present in my relationship and allow my partner to be fully present as themselves, and to take
Mm,
the pressure off of what I want them to be and how they're not showing up. Because that was a really strong module that you spoke on. And it still plays in my mind. It's like, I have this, the way I have needs aren't exactly, so the way I want to be loved isn't exactly how they know how to love. And so being able to receive the love that they know how to give and still feel loved, even if it's not exactly how my needs are. And so that bleeds right to my relationship with my dad as a kid. That's why it's like healing that has been so powerful for my relationship. So I'm so excited for other people to experience that in Goddess Wife School, because it was so profound.
wow.
Really, it's
Wow.
been beautiful.
I'm seeing comments because I know that there's other alumni that are watching, and I see one comment that's like, I have to rewatch that module. It's
It's
true.
so
Like
good.
one of the reasons I run the program over and over is because it gives me the opportunity to like dig in deeper with those lessons and to like do that work in my
Yeah.
relationship so much more. And I love it because you were just saying before we jumped on live how you didn't even like show up to the last couple of calls, but still like
Yeah.
you were able to take so much from the program and bring it into your life. I know a lot of women ask me, they're like, how fast do you see results and how long does it take? Like, I feel like the women in the program, like every week there's things popping off. Like what was your experience while you were learning?
Oh, it was almost instant. And I also wanted to add, I made notes that I wanted to say
Oh,
so I
please.
would remember, but this one just came to me for other moms that are out there, even when you're married and you don't have an ex. Healing the relationship stuff with your partner is so powerful for your parenting. Like, I can't
Yes.
believe, especially because I'm thinking how I want my son to show up in relationship and
Yes.
how I want my daughter to behave and what I want to role model as a healthy. And it was so, like, the benefits that came from that program were just, there were so many, and they were immediate. They were seriously, it was like, oh, my kids are benefiting from this. And even my mom is moving forward in her relationships. She's seeing the work that I'm doing, that I'm breaking generational pattern with the women in my family. I'm breaking
Yes.
some of that now. And it's just been, it was so full circle. My entire life benefited from that program.
Wow.
Seriously.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
just like soak up all that goodness, and it's actually amazing because I know that you saw this like kerfuffle that happened in this Facebook group that we're both
Oh,
in.
yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because a lot of the stuff that you're saying, a lot of the stuff that we learn in Goddess Wife School, taken out of context, it can sound like really
Yeah.
scary because we have a lot of conditioning. Like we've seen bad things in the world like happen to women and oppression and happen to
Yeah.
our mothers, and we've definitely been through painful circumstances. It's a huge paradigm shift to step out of this automatic assumption that men are out to hurt us, or our partner doesn't want to see us shine and doesn't want to see us happy. And it's a really big change to take,
Mhm.
especially when that hasn't necessarily been modeled for us by our family relationships or by the relationships
Mhm.
that we see around us. And I know that you're an amazing healer anyway, and part of a
Thank you.
healer's journey is to, yes, by the way, everyone that's watching, the most amazing women are in Goddess Wife School, which is just
Yeah.
like, I love it so much. Alyssa's so amazing with what she does. I know that
Thank
part of
you.
our responsibility as healers is to be that first step and to be that catalyst and to model something that might not be in our lineage and might not be seen in other relationships before us. And I love that you said that the healing that you do, that ripple effect that it has, that like, especially anyone that's watching that is raising a future generation, it's so crucial that we live the life that we want for our children, that we model those values, that we do the work in our relationships to show what's possible for those future generations. So I'm really happy that you brought that up.
Yeah, it was such a powerful thing that I got to walk away from. So thank you for having the space for me to look at the way my one relationship, especially with their dad, was affecting so much more in my life, and it was connected to the generational, the raising the kids, not being able to move into a functional, healthy relationship with my partner now. Because there was just so much there. There's so much. That's what I love about relationships, especially romantic, is that they're a mirror. They're such an invitation.
Yeah.
And so when you step into a space like you're offering with Goddess Wife School, that's held for you to really look at the relationship, it freed up and it released, and so much was cleared. And I was able to birth the woman that I want to be in relationship. And so that was one thing I really wanted to also give as feedback was there. I think it was just module 1 where you talked about the relationship vision.
Yeah.
But that stayed with me to this day because there was the relationship vision that I wanted to have with my ex, the co-parenting relationship, the relationship I was redreaming because there was a break in the vision I had. I wasn't going to grow old with this man I had made vows and had babies with. And so now I was like letting go of an old vision, and I had to grieve that and then do a new vision that felt more aligned with who I am and where I want to go. So the relationship with him still, but in a different way, as well as the relationship that I was calling in and the man that I'm dating and the relationship future that we have. And so there's been like 3 levels of a relationship vision. I had no idea that that could be so potent, having a vision for the relationship, because it gives you something to be consciously and intentionally moving towards, rather than just going with emotions and then getting triggered and being in the swirling of life. And it was like, I actually know this reaction or this choice isn't aligned with the relationship vision that I want to have with this person. It was, yeah. So that was, I think the relationship vision is such a key piece. I love that you start there because it's so powerful. The co-creation of the relationship vision is another layer, doing it with your partner, having that conversation, especially when you're blending families, because now we're blending families, both of us coming with kids, and really powerful.
Yeah, it's like all the things that I literally wish that I had when I was single or when I was dating or even in the beginning of my relationship. Like I wish I had those conversations when I was making my vows with my husband, because you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know how to have those conversations. And then what starts to happen, right, is that you're just reacting to life instead of being part of like an intentional, conscious process where you're building what you want.
Being conscious, right? Yeah, so powerful.
So you said that you had notes. I mean, I can ask you lots of questions, but I'd love to know like what is up for you, what you wanted to talk about or share.
Well, I kind of said them all. I sort of like skimmed through them, but the co-creating the relationship piece was really important to me. I wanted to talk about that. And then who's the woman that's showing up? I remember when you asked that in the module, you didn't ask me directly, but of course it felt like it was direct, and I had to cry because I was out of integrity with the woman that I was on the inside, the woman that I wanted to be, and then the woman that I was showing up as. And so when I realized that and admitted it, because you have to admit that to yourself, you're like, I'm not showing up as the woman that I want or that he deserves or that they deserve. Even with my ex, right? It's like I'm allowing my triggers to steer our relationship that's messy. And it was really beautiful when I started to look at I took ownership. Who am I showing up as in this relationship? And everything changed. Everything. Because I started to show up like the woman that I knew I was capable of and that was inside of me, but I was like blocking by not doing the shadow work in the relationships. Because I was doing all my health stuff and client stuff, like everything else was going really well in my life, but relationships were still really messy. And so stepping into the program was like me owning that there's an area that I need to work on, and here's a safe space with an amazing, satisfied wife that's going to hold that for me. And then I really had to look at myself, because that's the thing I've learned is that in relationship is it's allowing him to be himself and showing up fully as myself, but being the woman that I want to be, not being a past version of myself, like an
Yeah.
old identity. I don't need to be the wife, the woman that I was married to this man anymore. I can change the way I communicate with him. I have the power. It's within me. How am I showing up? Who am I
Yeah.
showing up as in this relationship, co-parent, dating, engaged,
Yeah,
with my kids?
I think that we forget how much ownership and authority that we actually
Yeah.
have, because it's so easy, whether it's in your relationship or any other circumstance in life, to look outside of yourself and be like, if only he was different, if only that was different, if only this would happen, then I could be happy, then I could make the change. But when we do that, whether we realize it or not, like, we put ourselves in this disempowered victim kind of place. And I know that there's like a comfortability that's about it, because it
Yeah.
is kind of scary to feel pain, owning like your part in the creation of something that doesn't feel good for you, and that you're an active participant, especially when you're in a dynamic. And I don't know if you remember or not, but like, one of the things that I teach is about having a 100-100 relationship, where each person shows up as a full 100% owner and creator, rather than what
Yeah.
most people are taught to do, which is 50-50 relationships and meeting in the middle and always compromising and feeling like you have to like give something up in order to like keep something together. But for many of us, right, this is something that I've been actually talking to my husband about a lot lately. It's that we were raised by people or through lineages that, like, the reason that people got into relationships was from a survival place or from like a fear place, or and we have the privilege, most of us today, to come together in like a love place, in a real like creational kind of place, but that hasn't been modeled for us necessarily. So it's like, one of the reasons that I love Goddess Wife School and doing this work with everyone is because we're learning how to build from that place of love, instead of like just trying to like cling together or like white knuckle it the whole time.
Yes, definitely. And another layer to that was I had kids really young with my husband. So, um, which was a choice, obviously, but it was sort of like we just fell into a pattern of repeating our parents' relationship, and we were just stuck together because now we had kids and got married.
Totally.
As where now that I'm older and the kids are a bit older and I'm choosing to be in a relationship, we're coming at it from more of a place of love than sort of heated, young, got pregnant, fell into that lifestyle
Right.
sort of thing. So when you are consciously choosing your partner, it's so beautiful. This is just such a powerful conversation. I'm so glad I'm here. Thank you. I think it's the work that Goddess Wife School has, the doors that it's opened for me in relationships, in my own healing journey, and what I've been able to now talk about, like the sexual energy piece. I just want to note that as well, because that was something that was very taboo to me.
All
I
right,
still
let's talk about that. Everyone wants to talk about the sex stuff, so let's talk about that experience for
I
you.
still feel awkward about it. Like I don't even say the word pussy live ever.
Okay,
Like
well, let's take a breath, because you just did it. So let's take a breath and breathe to our pussies, right?
uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
It really like I always had a very active let me spit that out in English, and very act okay. I'm literally skipping over my words. I've always had a very active sex drive, and that's never really been an issue, but I never talked about it or owned it, and it was sort of always came from a space of passion. I was never conscious much choosing it then either, or discovering what I like. And it also, the more I've harnessed it and learned about it and tapped into it, the more I'm creative and holding different space in my business, and the way that I'm seeing women and healing those sisterhood wounds. And
Mm,
also the way I'm able to be in a mature, emotionally intelligent relationship is because I'm tapped into the sexual energy, and it's not a taboo topic. And I also am paying attention to what my cycle of sexual energy is, obviously with my monthly flow, because and what his energy levels are. Sexual energy is powerful stuff to get into and to harness. And I think the more that I've listened to it and channeled it, whether it's in the bedroom or in my business or in my physical exercise or, in something, in a writing piece, but like it's powerful, that sexual energy. There's so much drive and passion. And so if you can harness that and bring it into your relationship and not just in the bedroom, so to speak, but also in your
Yeah.
conversations and in your relationship vision, and bring that sexual energy and intimacy and the touch when you touch each other in the kitchen. Like, if you bring it in more ways than just actual physical intercourse, but of course that's an amazing piece too. But if you can bring it in more, I found that it's opened my heart up a lot more, and it's opened my partner's heart up a lot more, because we have a tendency to think that sexual energy is just sex in the bedroom and you fall into a routine. And it's like, well, no, let's make love on the beach, but let's also neck, in the cab, or let's walk out to the field and go hang out with the horses and pinch each other's bum. And let me run my fingers through your hair on the couch.
Yeah.
And those moments are and they're sexually charged because it's physical touch. It's energy, and it's brought us so much closer, and there's just so much deeper connection. And if more women weren't afraid to look at that, what sexual energy means for them and how they can be more of it, rather than it just be in the bedroom at 9 o'clock after the kids go to bed. How can I be more sexual with you without it just being intercourse? And it's been really fun. It's been really fun playing with that. So
Yeah, I'm so happy that you brought this up and that we're talking about it. And I want to add sexual and sensual too,
yes.
because right, we've been conditioned when we think about sexual that it's like only intercourse, or it's only sex, or even I think that there's a nuance that you're talking about that I'm really glad that you brought up. Which is, I know that there's a lot of talk there about like, listening to your pussy and following your pussy, and that is very true. And at the same time, I feel like if we only listen to our pussies, there's a certain kind of like me about that, which is important, right? That's why we want to be connected. But when we also want to be in partnership and in relationship, it's that heart connected piece where you're connected to your desire, right? Like that heart pulsing place, and that lower love energy kind of place too, which really is a magical energy to crack open, or to really connect with your masculine partner. Because the way that I teach it, right, that is like life force energy for your partner. Like your man loves to feel that. Like he loves when you're glowing, he loves when you're turned on, he loves when you're fulfilled. And on top of that, like he loves to be the source of that. Like what man wouldn't want to be like the reason that you're like walking around like feeling so good all day long? And it's such a gift that we don't realize that we can share with our partners. But again, not because like we're supposed to, but it's also it's so good for us in the same way that it's so good for him also.
Yeah, it really is. It's so bonding, and it creates a safety in the relationship. And I think that builds so much trust. I've been able to, because there was infidelity at the end of my marriage, I had a struggle trusting and opening that part of me back up. And so creating that sensual and intimacy and sparking that sexual energy between us, like the little flirting and text messages throughout the day, like allowing there to be a buildup of that energy between us. It's just built so I feel safe. I feel so safe, and I can trust and open my heart up again, because we're matching each other's effort. He's not showing up and giving all the sexual energy, and I'm not doing all the domestic stuff. We're showing up and we're equally fulfilling all of these roles, and it's safe. It creates safe, and it's really, I guess that's something that I think we all do. It's a basic root chakra need, but I find that intimacy really does create that safety feeling and that
100%.
sexual energy in your partners. And you're right, they love it. Like watching his face when, I'm walking through the room feeling all good, and he's just like, I want more of you. And like, we just, we're intimate together. So it's fun to allow that to build up, and to allow myself to feel sexy and wear clothes that make me feel good. Stuff that before I wouldn't have worn, because it's like, I was prudish. I shouldn't present myself like that. I have 2 kids and a successful business. I need to be more professional. And now I'm like, if I want to wear the skimpy bikini when we're out, I'm going to, and I don't care what anybody says, because how I feel in my body is what's important. And so, Goddess Wife School, I really think every woman should go through this program. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh man, thank you so much. Like, one of the reasons I love doing these interviews is, aside from the fact that like we really get to redigest the experience, it's like I see the work in so many different angles, and how it touches so many different women in so many different ways, and all the different like bits and pieces that like, and our comments are like blowing up right now.
I
like
see them.
I can't see them either because we're on StreamYard, but I will go through and respond when we're done. And so if you guys have any questions for Alyssa, which by the way, you guys, She does amazing work. She's a horse whisperer and a healer. So you should absolutely just connect with her in general. If you don't have her in your world, her wisdom is incredible. And that's another thing that I love about the program is all the amazing women from all different walks of life, from all different relationship experiences and perspectives that come and bring your magic. And we have the most profound conversations and like unpack topics together and learn together. And it's such a beautiful experience. So I'm just really appreciative that you came and that we could like relive that together.
Me too. Big time. The kids are actually with their dad. They've been there for a month and a half, which is the longest we've ever been apart. And he introduced them to a new partner. And that was a really big step for us. And the communication skills that you've gifted me and opened my eyes to and led through in the program have just been so sacred to me in this process of already missing the kids for so long and blah, 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 but being able to not be triggered and know how to communicate, like whatever was bothering me, or if I had questions, like being able to hold space for these big shifts in our family through that container. I just think anyone that's co-parenting, please take this program. It has seriously helped there, as well as, of course, my romantic relationship now, which has been the biggest benefit, but I had no idea I could co-parent like this. So
wow,
it's really beautiful. So thank you for that. That was probably my biggest takeaway, was how much you helped heal that relationship. And I just think it's important, or for anyone that's been through infidelity there, when there's that issue as well, I think Goddess Wife School is so beautiful for that space. So
yeah. I mean, what you were saying about having a safe space in relationship and learning how to create that together, you know, if we're circling back to the beginning of our conversation, how so many of us have old trauma or old fears, insecurities, and that we are taught, you know, that we can't rely on men, we can't really lean on them, that he's never going to do it as good as I do. Let me just do it anyway. It'll just be easier. There's this way that we don't fully allow ourselves to, you know, lean back and lean on him and land and just like really trust. And that's another thing that I'm hearing as you're talking, how, and it's amazing that you're creating that with your ex in that relationship and with this other partner that you have too, and building that relationship now. That's really beautiful, Alyssa. That's like a testament to you as a woman, like the power of who you are and your energy.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Even though my dad's not here, he passed away June 2019. We were just starting to mend the fence when he passed, and I've been able to, I mean, for those of you that are spiritual and believe in this, this might be a little woo-woo, but I feel closer to him now than I ever have. I've been able to heal so much there through Goddess Wife School as well, and looking at him, allowing him to be, he showed up the best he could. And you know what I mean? Being able to see him for his gifts. And so for anyone that's also got anything lingering with someone that's passed on, or someone they just can't ever talk to again, Goddess Wife School helped me a big time heal that with my dad, even though he's passed on. So thank you for that. That's a huge gift, that I'm able to feel so close with him after a lifetime of keeping him at arm's length. So, and he's not even walking earthside. That's how powerful this program is. Like, it's really good.
Wow. I had no idea about that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Pretty special. Thank you for that.
My total pleasure. You know, when they say that, like, do what you love and you'll never work it for the rest of your life, like that is, that's amazing to hear. Wow. Well, I mean, I feel like we could just keep talking forever. Is there anything that you want to add or say before we close off this conversation?
Thank you. Thank you to you so much. And thank you to everyone that's here. I can't wait to go through your comments and connect with you guys. I think this is such a powerful conversation, and what a great community you've built, Michelle, that women can come, and because relationships are one of the biggest things in our lives, you know, like, it's doing that work for yourself and for your partner is so, so, so important. And so you've created such a great space for women to come and do that. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, the women in the program, the women in my community, like, you are what makes it so magical. So thank you, Alyssa. And thank you for sharing everything and inspiring so many other women with your story and what's possible too. And so for anybody that's watching, that, you know, has gone through infidelity, that's trying to figure out a past relationship, that's trying to heal pain or trauma or baggage from an old situation and how it's affecting where you are now. Alyssa's just, I call you an expander, like, of possibility for what we can all have with our current partners and with the lives that we want to build. So thank you for sharing your story. And I'm excited for you to keep updating me with what's going on.
Yeah, definitely, especially as things get hotter and hotter in my relationship.
I know. I feel like we didn't even talk about your current relationship. Can you just like brag for a second about what's going on in your current relationship?
He's so incredible. So we just moved from Alberta in Canada to Vancouver Island, and we landed at a farm together. And he's a captain, so flies airplanes and drives boats. So we've been spending a lot of time while the kids have been gone and just soaking up the romance. The sex has been so hot. Oh my gosh, it's been so good. And I mean, I'm excited for my kids to come home in 2 weeks, but I'm going to milk this time with him because he leaves, right? Like, he goes back to flying and goes back to reality as well. So I'm just like, every opportunity that we can go and just be intimate and have fun and laugh. And he's such a good man. And seeing myself through his eyes, I mean, it has brought tears to my eyes because the more I'm falling in love with myself, the more it's making it safe or something, I don't even know what it is, but he's falling more in love with me. And those are his words. And he was just looking at me the other day, and I looked over, and it was just like, I started to cry because he was just the love. I've never seen myself in someone's eyes like that before. And that came from doing the inner work. So I hope every woman does the inner work and falls so madly in love with herself, and gets to experience that. So like, to believe that it's possible, that it's out there, even in the relationship you're in. I know I could have had this before. I just wasn't doing the inner work and ready for it. So then I did, and I opened the door for it. So it's totally possible, and it's so beautiful. And he's just such a freaking great man.
Yeah, I know. I love all your updates. I love seeing them. You guys, like, Alyssa is like the real, like, she's just an example of what's possible. And so if anyone that is watching this wants to have this kind of glow up, wants to have this kind of relationship, wants to heal old relationship wounds, goddesswifeschool.com. I believe and I love this program so much. My alumni believe and love in it too. And I just want all the women in the world to experience what it's like. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.